Hello, guys, and welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin, and I'm joined as ever by my co-host, by my Joshi brother-in-arms. It's Mr. Matt Turner. Matt Turner, it is the most wonderful time of the year. Have you been good?
I have. I mean, it's been a really great year, for us at the Stardom Cat, just me on a personal level. But a little bump in the road, maybe pothole in the road this week. Amber and I are maybe involved some sort of lawsuit. I can't get into it too much. We were watching a movie. We noticed said movie is a lot based on how me and Amber met and fell in love. I can't tell you the name of this movie, but the
Don't do this.
gist, the gist of said movie the
Oh,
gist of
no.
said movie is there's this beautiful sweet girl, which my wife is, puts a scarf around a naked snowman, and the naked snowman comes to life. And that's literally shot for shot how we met and fell in love. That's literally shot for shot how we fell in
Oh,
love. I wonder
that
how
is
long I was
so
able to say that without breaking you. So
you can't just lead with, I think we might be in a lawsuit.
we're in
I
a
was like,
lawsuit.
we've already podcasted today. How is this the first time you've mentioned it to me?
Rob is crying
Oh my
for
God.
those of you that are only just doing the audio and not seeing the video of this. Rob is
Jesus.
in tears. And I texted him earlier today and I was like, is this one going to go up on the free feed? And he said, well, yeah, it's Christmas. I said, okay, because I want to get my line story of
Oh,
how Amber and I met too, and so everybody hears it. But yes, we did watch Hot Frosty by I meant
why?
Amber watch.
Why
Hold
did
on.
you do this?
So we watched this on, I think it was Thursday. I think me and you recorded for almost 3 hours on the Stardom
We
Cast, and I
did.
recorded with Andy right afterwards. We did Mayu versus Shuri rivalry
Mm.
review, which, by the way, absolutely love the 2022 match. I know there's some people like, it was okay, it wasn't good. Me and
Oh.
you were 5 stars all the way, and Andy was like, how do you
Mhm.
not think this is a 5-star match? I'm like, there you
It's
go.
great.
There you
It's
go. Yeah.
fantastic.
And me and him broke down the whole psychology, the reason why it is a 5-star match. But anywho, another story for another day. So you got to keep in mind, Rob. So I was at the gym early in the morning, did a full day at work, and then podcasted for close to 4 hours. Come downstairs, me and Amber eat. We're like, let's watch a Hallmark Christmas movie because it is the season. The one that was on, we already watched. So I was like, I'm going to get it in. So I was like, go to Netflix, type in Hot Frosty. And again, I mentioned to you last week, starring Lacey Chabert, Gretchen Wieners from Mean
Yeah.
Girls, who, again, she's the queen of these Hallmark movies. So she immediately hit play. And I was like, oh, here we go. So I was like, now again, Rob, this is the part you're going to like me. You know me, I love everything. Every single Star
Absolutely.
Wars movie. I loved every single Marvel movie. This wasn't good from what I saw.
It's not. Thank you.
Hold on. I'm
Good.
not done yet. I'm not done from what I saw because, again, I knew I was going to peter out because me and you had a great near 3 hour podcast with the Stardom Cast. Me and Andy with the Mayu and Sherry was great. So my adrenaline was like here, and I knew I was going to crash. So maybe half an hour into the movie, and then next thing I see was this. I was out. I get to the part where now I do have to make reference that the chief of police in this town is Daryl from The
Yes,
Office, and then
he is.
the one guy from The State, which is a very great comic sketch from MTV in the 90s, is like his deputy. So I was like, oh, how can this be bad? Yeah, it was.
Charles from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yes. Again, wasn't good. However, wasn't good at all. And I do want to point this, my wife pointed this out to me. The part in the movie where she takes the Hot Frosty guy, forget his name, and I promise we'll get to the task at hand, takes Hot Frosty home. He's watching TV and Rachel McAdams is on the TV, and Lacey Chabert goes, oh, I went to high school with that girl because they were in Mean Girls together in the same high school. I didn't put that together until Amber did. So that was on Thursday. So again, I fell asleep. Now, Friday, I was telling you before we recorded, I had my day of service at work, which I always donate my time to our church. So me and Amber are driving to the church, and I said, how did Hot Frosty? I said, well, how did it end? And Amber basically was spewing venom about how terrible it was. I was going to record it and send it to you, but some things are just left to the memory. Left to the memory. She's like, and all of a sudden they fell in love. And now they're going on a
Obviously,
trip.
yeah.
Yeah, now that they're going to a trip to Hawaii. I said, but isn't he a snowman? She's like, I know, it makes no sense. So
Literally, the first half of the film is this snowman attempting to stop himself melting. What? Why?
because his
Anyway,
heart's full of love. Anyway, Rob, my
don't you dare try and
heart's
make
full of
this
love for
wholesome.
you and the Stardom cast and us talking about 2025 and all you fantastic listeners of the start. And that might be the end of our Hot Frosty talk. I think that's the big. I always say you have to end with a big spot, right, Rob? I always say a big championship match. You have to end with a big spot. Me coming in here, starting the podcast off saying that we are going to be suing because it's. I think that's a big spot. Because that's how me and Amber met. I was a snowman until she put a scarf on me.
It does make a lot of things I know about you make sense now. Now that I've put those two things together. Yeah. Let's. I think we should let it die and just move on to 2025. So this little bonus roundtable basically is just sort of a look ahead to 2025, 2024, especially the last, I would argue, 6-7 months of 2024 have been some of the best in Stardom. Certainly in recent memory, anyway. Firing on all cylinders, really good houses, 2 very good tournaments in the 5-Star Grand Prix and the Goddess of Stardom Tag League. There's a sense of positivity on the roster as well. And obviously, to top this off, now we have Dream Queendom, which we have the first matches officially announced for, replete with graphics. And those tickets are selling incredibly well, to the point where we could be looking at a Sumo Hall record for Stardom come, December 29th, which would be great. But I'm looking forward to 2025. Where are we going in 2025? Because it does feel like there are so many different options left open. And that's for the betterment of the company. Absolutely. The last thing you want to do really is become predictable. And I feel like, especially in the Wonder of Stardom championship picture, there is a lot of different directions that you can go. And so what we decided to do is we decided to count down our top 5 Stardom predictions for 2025. Now, as long-time listeners of the show are acutely aware, when it comes to predictions of any sort, we are dreadful. Although actually, no, I must apologize.
Yes.
We both got the winners of the tag league right. And did we both get the winner of the 5-Star Grand Prix right this year as well?
Hold on one second. So me and you were talking the other day. You were being a little bit on your negative side, and I threw the positive Matt Turner thing. And then you said, you know what? This is why we make a great team. And you're right. And you're right. We also make a great team because me and you as a team on the 3 big tournaments are 3 for 3. You predicted Hanan to win the Cinderella tournament. Not only did I predict Micah right for the 5-Star Grand Prix, I got the final right with her and Saya Kamatani, and I have 3 of the 4 wrestlers that made it to that final night of the playoff. So me and you as a team crushed it. And then what did we do? We both doubled down. Me and you both agreed that Wingori are going to win the tournament, and we got that right. So as a team, my man, we absolutely crushed it again. You all got the Cinderella, I got the 5-Star, and then me and you, we put all of our chips in and said that we're going Wingori. They got the swords. Saida was coming out with black eyeliner. And by the way, folks, just because she's coming out with black eyeliner does not mean she's going to hate. So don't even start that. She came out with black eyeliner. Saida's getting big wins. And we got it right, buddy. So we absolutely crushed it with our predictions. Now, what does that mean for next year? Does that mean we turn the tables, or does that mean that Huki and Death is going to be the belt collector and win all the championships, which is what Rob wants for Christmas anyway? So, I don't know. I don't know. Are we going to continue this role, or is our luck going to run out? Only one way to find out. That's tune into Stardom and the Stardom cast each and every week in 2025, brother.
I mean, I'm now going to have to get rid of my number 2 prediction because you have already said it, that Fukian Death will become the belt collector. So thanks a lot for that spoiler, Matt. But no, you're absolutely right. Maybe I need to retire the bit where we talk about how bad we are at predictions, because 2024, if nothing else, has been very good for Stardom Cast predictions, and it's a little bit unnerving. But yeah, so basically the way this is going to work is we've literally just written down some predictions, and we're just going to talk about how, whether they're completely outlandish, whether they are ones that we are thinking about with our heart, which my number 5 absolutely is, whether it's us thinking along with our head, looking at booking patterns and stuff like that, and sort of storylines, or whether it's just out of the blue, that gut feeling that you have, this could happen. So yeah, I mean, Matt, you wanted me to go first. I think we should just dive headlong into this bad boy.
Yeah, the reason why I had Rob go first is I wrote down about 7 or 8 of my top 5, and then I literally would just cross it out, and I said some of these, because me and Rob, we think alike, which can be scary in the best way possible, I guess. I know there's one or two that I know you definitely have on your list that I have on my list, so I don't want to overlap. There might be one we can overlap, which I think that we're both agree on, but I don't want to overlap any more than one. So I'm just going to kind of go, if Rob says something, I'm going to be like, okay, in my head, I'm going to go to the alternative. So that's why I want to have Rob to go first, because I have a lot of really cool stuff. And I'm really excited to see what your predictions are. And then again, folks, in the comment section or send us a message. Let us know what your top 5 predictions are, because again, after all, we are an interactive podcast. But I guess anyway, further ado, Rob Goodwin, what is your King Kong Bundy number 5?
Number 5. I mean, this one it's number 5 because it's the one that I feel like both of us have got, and I feel like it has to be a lock for next year, because if it's not, it might be the most depressing thing in the world, and that is Hazuki will become the Wonder of Stardom champion. Not only because we are huge Hazuki fans on the Stardom cast, as I imagine most people are. It makes the most sense. We wouldn't have built an entire story around, the sort of depression of Hazuki going into that run of shows following Namba Grand fight, where she was coming out, the hood was up, refusing to take part, that crisis of self-confidence. We wouldn't have done that story. We wouldn't have gone into the detail of that story. Was something not planned. We wouldn't have had Hazuki come out in Korakuen Hall and say she is going to win the Wonder of Stardom Championship in her 10th year of wrestling. There's too many little seeds. And if you've got someone who is, yes, absolutely, has taken a break from Stardom, but recently has been as reliable as Hazuki, has been seemingly an ever present on this roster since she's been back. There's only a handful of shows that I can remember her missing. Her record is stellar over the last 3 or 4 years. I feel like if anyone has earned that shot, it is her. She's had the heartbreak. She's had the 6 previous attempts. It's a curse to be broken. And whereas there are some curses, Jungle Kiona, for example, that never played out, I feel like, touch wood, save for injury, this is a shoe-in to happen. And if I were to sort of make my prediction a little bit more specific, I would say that Hazuki wins it on one of the 2 big Stardom shows of 2025, whether it's All-Star Grand Queendom in April, if that's still what it's called, or at Dream Queendom in December. I do think that Hazuki picks up that white belt. Who she beats, I don't know. Whether Natsupoi comes out on top against Starlight Kid, and then it's Starlight Kid versus Hazuki at Dream Queendom, or Natsupoi versus Hazuki at Dream Queendom, I don't know. But I am like 95% sure that come December 31st, 2025, we will have experienced or will be experiencing a Hazuki white belt run.
I have always said the last few years, I don't have like one single favorite wrestler in wrestling. Like, obviously, I have certain people that, because of personal relationships, the Orange Cassidys, the CM Punks, the Samoa Joes, that I always root for, but I just don't have a single favorite wrestler in wrestling, just because I enjoy the output and energy that so many wrestlers put out.
Mhm.
But I always say if I had to choose one, it would be Hazuki, and it's because of this constant chase for the Wonder of Stardom Championship. And what's really cool about it is it's not even the main belt in Stardom. It's like you never hear about
No.
Hazuki going after the red belt. She just wants that one. And she's had a couple cracks at the World of Stardom Championship and has great matches. When she first came back to wrestling in 2021, she had a great match that I know you champion all the time against Utami Hayashishita. But it's just the white belt. It's just the white belt, just the Wonder Belt. And I vividly remember when they were doing the press conference last March for the Triangle Derby finals with her and Saya Kamatani, where she said the main reason why she came back to wrestling is to win that Wonder of Stardom Championship. Then you're like, are they going to belt up Hazuki? Because we thought it was going to go to Mina, and eventually they did, but they're like, wow. And that, again, is my all-time favorite Wonder of Stardom Championship match. I think you're along with me, partner, and I think most of our listeners are. That is, my all-time favorite Wonder of Stardom Championship match, which is saying something because there's like 50. Like you have to see these Wonder of Stardom Championship matches. But yeah, I mean, obviously this is what I want. Other than wrestlers being healthy and being safe, and Stardom to continue to grow, there's nothing I want to see more in pro Stardom and Marigold continue to grow audiences. There's nothing I want to see more in wrestling in 2025 than Hazuki winning the Wonder of Stardom Championship. So I totally agree with you. I'm going to double down on this, and I'm going to say if we're going to get this to Hazuki, we're going to build her up and make her as hot as humanly possible. I say that she wins the Cinderella next year. Not my official prediction, because you know how that show goes. You know how when we were doing our predictions, Rob has a damn near heart attack. So I'm not.
Oh
Don't want
my
to get there
God.
just yet.
Oh,
Don't
I'm
want to get
already having
Look.
palpitations at the thought of that bracketology episode. Every year, my pick goes out in the first round, apart from this year, because
There it is. There it is. But I say Hazuki wins the Cinderella tournament, and at the very end, the dress, the confetti. She grabs the microphone and was just like, I'm not gonna string this out any longer. I want the Wonder of Stardom Championship at All Star Grand Queendom, and I would still have Natsupoi be the champion because they told a really great story on Natsupoi's V1 at Amber Graham fight. They told that really, really great story. So why not have it come full circle? So that was would have been my number one. So again, I don't want to kind of go back to back too much with Rob. That's the only one that I'm going to stick with him on. And then again, that's why I didn't write anything down, because I knew that was going to be one of his tops. It was my number one. But so that leaves me with four. I'm just going to go right into what my number five is. That's okay with you, partner? And
absolutely.
this one is betting with my heart, especially what we've seen over the last 2 or 3 weeks with Stardom. I'm going to say Momo Kogo wins the high speed championship.
Oh, that's a really, really nice one. That's
Yeah.
a really wholesome one. I hope she does too.
I think that just the support she's been getting with the chants, and then with Mayu really, really taking her to task on the final night, and Momo Kogo just would not give up. And the fact that she's had some really good showings with May Sarah, it's just like, is that a way they go with it? Is that a way? She did have that one shot with the Zumi, which she did for alternate commentary not that long ago. And it's one of the most underrated matches in 2022, especially in Azumi's run. And obviously Momo Kogo is better now, and she's more over now, especially here in the United States. And I made mention it quite a bit that when I went to the ECW arena last summer, when Julia took part in that 4-way match with Momo Kogo, with Giselle Shaw and Diana Perazzo, that Momo Kogo was one of the most over wrestlers on that entire card. And I was like, oh, didn't see that coming. So again, that one, I'm betting with my heart quite a bit. I'm leaning on my heart. I'm going to say Momo Kogo wins the high speed championship in 2025.
Yeah, Mayu really does bat for her in that match on the 8th. I mean, she properly bats at her during the match. She does properly go to town on her, but from the reaction she gets when they beat T-Palm in the tag league, the chance that she gets, and she's visibly overwhelmed. And then, just on a personal level, the stuff that she has to battle every day with Graves' disease, like there's the fact that she wrestles, the fact that she makes it to the shows, the fact that she wrestles in the ring and takes these hellacious bumps and, gets the absolute bejesus beaten out of her and still comes back for more, despite, the pain that she's in. She's looking in absolutely stellar form as well, because like she is stacked. Like there's not an ounce of fat on her. Her body fat percentage must be like minus 0.1 or something. It's ridiculous. So she's putting in the hard yards, she's putting in the work, and it would be nice to see her to get that bit of, not credibility, that bit of justification almost. And I think the high speed title, especially as we've seen Azumi, Starlight Kid, Natsupoi, all graduate from that sort of division, if you will. It does leave Meisera with the need of having other challenges. And we've seen Yuna Mizumori step up, do a tremendous job. We've seen Xena step up and do a tremendous job. But yeah, and we've seen Momokogo challenge before. It would make sense for her to challenge again. I would love to see it happen. And I think that there would be a legitimate happy pop from whatever crowd it's in front of. So yeah, really good prediction. I love that one. That might be my favorite one. Right. So I've got 2 tournaments next. So we'll go with my number 4. I'm not even bothering to try and predict the winners for the Goddess of Stardom Tag League, because who the hell knows who they're going to pair them up with? It could be physically anyone. But I'm going to go with the Cinderella. And I know what everyone is thinking. You're going to be like, well, Hazuki's going to win it. Obviously. No, not for me. I think it's going to be Amisori.
Ooh.
Now, this one comes with a huge, huge asterisk against it, because obviously if Amisori is not fit, obviously she's had an ACL tear, she's got a meniscus tear as well. You know, she's been fighting through it for God knows how long and has then had double surgery, so presumably is going to be out for a long, long time. Obviously, I don't want her back before she is A, fully fit, and B, happy. I don't feel like she needs to return to the ring until those 2 things are achieved. But I think if she is back in time for that tournament, I think Amisori wins it. She's made the semifinals the last 2 years. She is obviously incredibly highly thought of by Stardom. I think she brings a lot of what Stardom are looking for in a wrestler, and I think that she is the perfect mold for a Cinderella tournament victory. We've seen her in the white belt picture before. We know that just before the injury, obviously, she was being sort of almost slowly but surely pushed up that card. I think had she been in the 5-star Grand Prix this year without that injury, I think we'd have seen her have a big push, get some key victories, maybe not make it to the post-season, if you will, with the semifinals and stuff, but I think she definitely would have gotten some key victories, and I think that push would have carried on. I think we'd have potentially seen a white belt challenge later on in the year, but I do think that Amisori wins the Cinderella tournament. We've seen how they tend to take, for lack of a better phrase, less established wrestlers, especially in more recent years. Mirai the first year, maybe not the second year, but certainly the first year. Hanan, Sayaka Matani, Julia. I know that Julia was sort of a given, but she had only been at with the company since November 2019, something like that. So, they do take these less experienced wrestlers, and just doubling down on that, I think that Mia Wamasaki is a future winner of the Cinderella tournament as well. However, this year, I think if Amisori is fit and ready and healthy, I think she wins the Cinderella tournament this year.
Yeah, 2022, she made it to the semifinals. This past year, she made it to the finals. Only one more step she can take. So that is a really, really good pick, sir. That is a really, really good pick. So, yeah, it's going to be – here we are. We're already giving ourselves anxiety about the Cinderella tournament.
Absolutely.
We're still 3 months away. So.
I can't wait to do that bracketology episode. Forget that I've done this entirely. Predict someone else to win, and then someone in the comments point out, I thought you thought Amisori was going to win it, and then me lose my mind about how I forgot it again.
And then all of a sudden you're like,
oh my God.
She ends up winning, like he's giving himself a heart attack. One of my favorite episodes we've done in the Stardom cast was the 2022 Cinderella tournament, because we had obviously our significant others always submit their brackets, and we were like, what's going on in this? And you were I was like, oh my goodness, somebody called. That poor Rob was going to have a heart attack.
Then there's 2023 where just nothing went right for us at all. It was just a completely insane tournament. None of the brackets made sense. There was about 4 time limit draws in the first like 6 matches.
9 elimination, 9 either
Mental.
double count outs, time limit draws. You had 9 of them in the first night, or it might have been the first weekend because I think they did back to back, and then we didn't have a single one, and no time limit draw. There was no buys. There were, other than the buys that were given pre-tournament. There was no double count outs. There are not double count, no double eliminations, no time limit draws. It was just like, what were people complaining about the tournament last year? Okay, we're just going to do the opposite. And then it was like one of the best booked tournaments this past year ever. It really, really was. And it was like, oh, not a bad job from somebody that's never booked wrestling before. So you got to give kudos to them. You know, we did talk about when we first started the show a few minutes ago about how great the Goddess was and how great the 5-star was. The Cinderella tournament was terrific. Really, really was. It really was. So that's a good one, my man. I know you just said a few minutes ago that you really loved what I said about Momokogo winning the high-speed championship. You might like this one a little bit better. I'm going to say Stardom is going to run the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York City and York Hall in your neck of the woods over there in England. So this way, and maybe I'll be a little selfish because the Hammerstein Ballroom is only about 2 hours away from me, and maybe Stardom gets a full show over your neck of the woods over in England. Obviously, we know that they want to expand. They want to expand. And they've done it over here in the United States. They ran one show this past year, the ECW Arena. They sold it out twice. And what I mean by that is they sold it out, and then they went back to I believe, like the fire marshal and was like, how many people can we get in here standing? And they released like 20 more tickets, and then that sold out within another hour. So they know that there is, you know, there's a demand for the Stardom wrestling. We see Mina's doing great over here in the United States. She always pops a big number when she's wrestling on AEW. So there is a demand for it. So why not run the Hammerstein Ballroom? I know it's very expensive to run there, but we'll see. Maybe they do something joint promotion with AEW. And then obviously in England, Mina is crushing it over there in England. As of this recording, she's a double champion over there in England. So why not do a full show? So my number 4 prediction is going to be that Stardom is going to run a venue in New York City. I'm going to say the Hammerstein Ballroom because why not? And York Hall over there in England, my friend.
It would be fantastic should that happen, because I do think that Stardom will pull a massive crowd in the UK. And as anyone that has been to a wrestling show in the UK knows, there's no crowd like it. We are fairly raucous, us Brits, especially once we've had a beer or two. So yeah, definitely worth coming to a Stardom if you're looking for a different place to go to. Moving on to number 3 pit then. So I've done the Cinderella, so I might as well do the 5-star as well. 5-star Grand Prix run, and this is an early take. Starlight Kid. I think that Stardom, I talked about how they were pushing Amisori. Starlight Kid, I feel, is the future face of this company. Obviously Saya Kamatani as well. I think if she's a baby face by the time the next tournament rolls along, then she could very well win it. However, in the current climate of Stardom, I think Starlight Kid wins the 5-star Grand Prix and goes on to the main event of Dream Queendom 2025. She might not win the red belt. She might not be quite ready for the red belt, but she is certainly ready to be put in that conversation. I think over the past year, especially since the formation of Neo Genesis, where she has been basically just told to go out, enjoy yourself with your best mates, she's been so good. She has been captivating. Every time she has stepped in the ring, you just get this star power, this aura. She had a tremendous 5-star this year. She's had a really good Goddesses of Stardom Tag League alongside Suzu Suzuki. She's marketable. I think that she is a future star, and I think we could see the first of Starlight Kid's ascensions up the card with a 5-star Grand Prix this year. And wouldn't it be fantastic if it was Starlight Kid versus Azumi in the final?
Ooh. I want to see your final, sir. That'd be really good. That'd be really good. Yeah, good. That's a good one, my man. That's a good one. So Rob is 9-10 months away of giving himself another heart attack when he's out. Now he's already. Yeah, look at that one. Look at that
Can't
one.
wait.
That's a good. I mean, Starlight Kid is somebody that's rose in popularity. We know the masks sell quite a bit. I got one, right here. I mean, yeah, right there. So Obviously, the merchandise moves really well. She's so endearing with the crowd. She's over, again, very much over here in the United States as well. She can work any style. She's terrific. That's a good shout, my man. That's a good shout, especially with her and Azumi in the finals, and especially if they're still part of Neo Genesis. So yeah, that'd be something really, really cool. I'm all for that. My number 3 is, again, I'm trying to do a couple different things here from rap, so we're not all like, my early prediction for the 5 stars, Momo Watanabe, but I'm going to move off that and do something different. Very much in the vein of tugging at your heartstrings, Momo Kogo getting a championship. Let's have Waka win a championship, and either the new blood,
Absolutely.
yes, either the new blood tag belts, whether it's with Rianne or Hanako as rice or bread, or Micah, Mina, and Waka winning the artist belts. That's a possibility. And I'm not saying red belt, white belt, right? I'm not going there because and I think Waka is great, but that's next level stuff. That's something that only a few people in all the pro wrestling can obtain to get. Why not win win the new blood tag belts or Artist Stardom champions, with EXV, whether it's Micah, Xena, Hanako, Mina, who knows where Mina will be, but another story for another day. But let's belt up Waka. Let's belt up Waka because she's been really, really fantastic. Again, especially coming off the Goddess of Stardom tournament. I think her and Rihanna as Moonlight Fantasy had some great, great matches. So I'd love to see Waka get a big, big win and get a big champion, get a championship in 2025.
Yeah, after experiencing something like 84 straight losses or whatever it was, I feel like that could crush a lot of people's spirit. Obviously, it was done in a storyline, and she had that big win over Nanae Takahashi in the Yokohama Budokan, great moment. But then I've sort of felt like since that moment, she's been treading water almost. And you're absolutely right. We want all these people to be belted up, absolutely, but you can't push everyone, and not everyone is going to be a white belt or a red belt champion. Not everyone is going to be in that picture, and there's some true greats in Stardom that you look back on that have not achieved those belts. Yuzuki Aikawa was never red belt champion. Yoko Bito was never red belt champion. Jungle Kiona was never red belt champion or white belt champion. There are so many people you look back on. Hazuki has never won the red or white belt. So you throw Waka into that and you think, okay, so maybe that's not her threshold. However, I think the Artist of Stardom belts is a great shout. I actually wonder with both Tam and Natsupoi in prominent singles match to Dream Queendom, I'm wondering if they are going to put the Artist of Stardom belts on the Korakuen on the 24th of December, and I think they might drop them there. Because the problem is when you've got people double belting up, they can only defend one belt at a time. So it does mean that if Natsupoi is defending the white belt, we're not going to see the Artist of Stardom belt on that card as well. The same with Tam defending the red belt. So it wouldn't surprise me if we see maybe a Micah, a Mina, and a Waka challenge at Korakuen on the 24th. It does open a lot of doors. I think the New Blood tag titles are the most obvious. I think that would be a great shout for her. Devil Princess doing some really good work with the Wingori, did some tremendous work with them before that. Whether it is with Rihanna or whether it is with Hanako, I can imagine that it would probably be with Hanako, simply because, again, the company seems to be quite hot on Hanako. Obviously made it through to the final of this year's Goddess of Stardom Tag League, was sent over to the US as a part of that little excursion, that month-long excursion, was sent over to Taiwan as well, don't forget, with Starlight Kid. So, the company are obviously quite hot on Hanako, and maybe that is the way that we belt up Hanako as well, is to do Waka and Hanako as the New Blood Tag Team Champions. Whether it's the next one, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's Sayaka Kurora and Aya Sakura that take it off Devil Princess, but that's another conversation for another time. But I think that's another good pick. Certainly, again, anyone that can endure this sheer volume of losses that Waka had, I think she deserves it.
Just to play devil's advocate real quick, but before I volley back to you, I still think Tam and Poi and Anu are going to go into Dream Queendom as the champions. Again,
Okay.
I could be wrong. I'm wrong quite a bit. Two main reasons. One, if you wanted to put the artist belts on the show, it's to draw tickets. They're doing pretty well trying tickets, so like you don't
Well,
really
yeah,
need it.
that's true.
Two, there's a lot of people that are going to experiencing Stardom for the first time on this show because of the buzz. There's going to be buying the pay-per-view for the first time live because of the buzz, and then obviously English commentary. So, who are your two big champions going in, Tam and Natsupoi? It'll look a lot cooler if they go into those two big main event matches with not one belt but two belts, basically showing like, okay, these are somebody really, really important. So, could I be wrong? Sure, but possible. But I don't, that's the reason why I don't think they're going to drop them just yet. I think they're going to drop maybe the Neo Genesis maybe sometime at the beginning of the year. But again, who knows?
I agree with you. I do agree with you from an aesthetic point of view that really does highlight the importance of those two wrestlers. However, had they not got New Year Dream immediately after this show,
I see.
which is going to be another pay-per-view where we know that they're not going to be defended because Tam is going to be facing Unagi, I would agree with you. I could be completely wrong. The artist of Stardom belts unfortunately seem to have taken a bit of a back seat, and that's not because of Cosmic Angels. That's simply because of the fact that we've got a red belt and a white belt champion as the artist of Stardom champions, and this always happens when you've got people who are double belted. I think Neo Genesis makes the most sense. You look at who hasn't got a match at Dream Queendom. You've got Miyu Amasaki doesn't have a match currently. Azumi doesn't have a match currently. Meisera doesn't have a match currently. Suzu Suzuki doesn't have a match currently. So any combination of those three at Korakuen against Cosmic Angels makes the most sense. And then you can have them defend the belts against Hate or something like that on, oh no, there isn't. Oh no, saying that there is hilariously, even though you've got Tora and Tora, Tekla, and Momo and Saya Kamatani are all, and Konami are all in prominent matches, right? You can still easily make an artist of Stardom match. Ruaka, Rina, Azusa Inaba, and Fukigen Death. There you go. There's so many members of Hate.
And Dump Matsumoto.
And Dump Matsumoto. Exactly. Zap. Get Zap in there. Why not?
Why not?
In fact, my first prediction, Zap will win the red belt.
Oh my goodness. Real quick, and I know we're getting off tangent. This will be my last point, and I'll volley back to you. I think what they should do for your opener for Dream Queendom, because this card with 5 matches now looks stacked. We still don't know a lot of these main eventers where they're going to be. We know we're going to Mayu and Azumi at the Tokyo Dome. We also know that on these pay-per-views, Stardom gives the first match away for free on YouTube. I think the opener of Dream Queendom, Rob Goodwin, should be Mayu, Momo Kogo, teaming with FWC to take on O2 Line and Crazy Star, and just be like, and then if I'm Teru Okada, I'm sitting down with all 8 of those wrestlers and like, we need you to put on the greatest 8-man match of all time, which they'll probably do. How much we're giving it free on YouTube? How much time do you need? Can you imagine that match opening the show? Because you're using it as a vehicle for Mayu and Azumi for the next week for the Tokyo Dome. And I didn't realize it until I just said it. Why not have Momo Kogo beat Meisera in that match? There's your high-speed championship match for Momo Kogo. Boom. Boom. That's the way I would open up that show. It's just, you know what I mean? Here you go.
I mean, we've seen that Teru Okada and Stardom are not afraid of these undercard tag matches getting a little bit more time. In fact, we saw it on Saturday. Saturday just gone with the All Cosmic Angels tag match, Tam and Sayaka Kurora versus Aya Sakura and Yuna Mizumori. That got 13 minutes, and that was the opener. It was a great match, by the way, really good. But again, it shows that they aren't scared of giving that match time to breathe. So that's great. Obviously, there is the announcement that Azumi and Mayu are on second on the Wrestle Kingdom card, but that's by the by.
We'll talk about that on the Stardom cast, buddy. But anywho, is your other prediction that they're going to realize what they did is wrong and they're going to give it semi-main event? Is that your next prediction?
No, my next prediction is that it gets 8 minutes. No, I'm joking. It'll get 6.
Keep going. Go. What's your next prediction?
Second prediction, or second to last, should I say, and I imagine that me and Matt have the exact same prediction, is that Momo Watanabe will become a red belt champion this year. I would argue from an in-ring standpoint, Momo has perhaps had her best year since she dropped the white belt. Has felt no, that's not fair. No, let me wind that back.
2021. 2021
In
was
terms
great.
of feeling like a star, I feel like 2024 Momo Watanabe has had the best year since she dropped the white belt. She, for lack of a better phrase, Momo Watanabe is someone that from 2020 through to 2022 felt like she was treading water. And to be fair, if the rumors are true, and it was basically the edict that we're only pushing a certain type of wrestler, a certain type of look in a wrestler. Momo doesn't fit that. We'll just ignore her and shunt her down the card. I think I'd probably half-arse my matches as well. And Momo Watanabe never half-arsed her matches, never. But you could tell that there was nothing for her. She was just in a pack. They had the chance to do something different with her when they first changed it to a Wedatai, and we talked about this on the Stardom cast. The money match was Momo Watanabe versus Utami Hayashishita, and we never got it. The match was Momo Watanabe challenging for that red belt immediately after breaking Azumi's heart. They never did it, and that sort of, for me, really did have that final emphasis of, we've got someone who's good in the ring, but we're not doing anything with her. Like, meh. This year, I feel like they finally found what to do with Momo Watanabe. From the challenge that she gave out in the US, where despite being the heeliest heel to ever heel, was enormously over when she came out to challenge Micah. She then had a great match at All-Star Grand Queendom. She then had a great 5-star Grand Prix, despite losing a lot of her matches. She's then been the shining light in Hate Supreme, having fantastic exchanges with everybody she's been in the ring with. She seems driven. She seems motivated. Everyone seems to be on the Momo Watanabe train. And I think this is the perfect time to pull the trigger on Momo Watanabe as your top champion. Now, whether that is as a heel or a babyface, I know that you are staunchly in the corner of Momo Watanabe is turning face and she will become the red belt champion. I know. Are you crossing off a prediction? Because that's what I've just said.
No,
I thought you were crossing off a prediction.
No, I had my Queen's Quest jacket on. That's
Nice.
the whole, yes.
Nice. Love it. But yes, I know that you are very much of that sort of opinion, and I can completely see that. I can see the positives of that, and obviously there is a status quo where you want your top babyface to be your top champion. However, I feel like that I've talked about this before, Momo Watanabe as a red belt champion, as a heel, as that bulldozer bully heel, has the chance to do what they were too scared to do with Natsuko Tora. Because you had the chance of Tora being this completely unbeatable top heel champion, and actually all it was a vehicle for Micah, Saya, and Tam. So I think with Momo, because we've seen recently, and especially with that match with Mayu, where she refused to use the baseball bat, I think you have the opportunity to have still heel Momo refusing to cheat until it's absolutely necessary. Not even in every match, having belter matches, and then when it looks like she might lose, then she has that choice to make. And maybe as that run goes on, she becomes more babyface. And maybe that's how the turn happens, if you still want that turn to happen. One thing I think for sure is, if you are going to capitalize on the Black Peach, if you're going to make Momo red belt champion, I feel like it is 2025 or never. Because at the moment, she is the hottest she has been. I would argue she's hotter now than she was in 2021. She had a fantastic in-ring year in 2021. Absolutely. Final of the 5-star Grand Prix, best 5-star Grand Prix final ever, without a shadow of a doubt. Was brilliant in the Goddess of Stardom Tag League. But I'd argue she's hotter now than she was then, because people took her for granted in Queen's Quest. She was part of the furniture. Whereas now, she was given the main event against Mercedes Moné in Washington. You don't do that to somebody who you're not interested in pushing. Now, again, whether it's as a heel or a babyface, I don't know. But I thoroughly believe that Momo Watanabe will be a red belt champion. Depending on who comes out of Dream Queendom, Tam or Saya is the red belt champion. I am slightly inclined to think it will probably be Tam, which might not be the right choice, but I've got a feeling that it might be. Simply because we've set up things with Shiori, but that's by the by. We'll talk about that on the
And Tam's
Sarmcast.
selling a ton of tickets. I mean, Tam is champion. A lot of people are like, she went 0-6 in the 5-star. Now she's champion. How can you back that? And I'm like, she's having great matches in every single show she's on, especially the championship match with Mike and Suzu. With her on top is drawing a ton of. Now, it's not just her. Obviously, you have Mayu,
No,
Mike, the tickets. It's not just her, but at the same time, she still is your red belt champ in the
it does
Stardom
look good
name.
for her.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it does. It's not hurting. It's not hurting. So, but no, I totally see your point, brother.
I think if Saya Kamatani wins the red belt, which I think should happen, then maybe Momo doesn't win it till later on down the year. However, if Tam wins, which I think is what will happen, I can see Momo Watanabe being the one to dethrone Tam.
You know what's great about, and again, we'll talk more about it when we do our Dream Kingdom preview. Those two championship matches, it can really go either way. Like, there's no wrong answer. Just, and I think both belts are as of right now. I think Tam and Nasa. Time if it's Kamatani, sure, absolutely, and if it's Starlight Kid, sure. That's what's great about the Stardom roster. It's like, if the timing is right and the story makes sense, you can tap any one of like 15 wrestlers to be the red belt champion or the white belt champion because of how stacked the roster is, especially up top. So, yeah, that my 1 and 2 was Suzuki white belt, Momo red belt. That's why I didn't write it down. But my number 2 is that All-Star Grand Queendom will take place in Budokan Hall. Back to Budokan they go for the first time. What would be in 4 years. And then, as you know, Rob, Stardom likes to do big announcements after the second or third match. Their announcement is that part of Wrestle Kingdom weekend that Stardom will be running. It's a 2-shot. Stardom will be running the Tokyo Dome in 2026. So I'm going to say we're going to Budokan Hall and we're going to the Tokyo Dome all within. And I know we're talking about 2025, but they'll make the announcement for 2026 that Stardom will run the Tokyo Dome. That's a big one, my man. That's a big one. So that would be my number 2, sir. And that's just as simple as it is. As simple as it is. It's not, they did a really good number at Budokan back with Tam and Julia as your main event. And obviously, that great semi-main event with Utami and Saya for the World of Stardom Championship. They're, in my opinion, they're hotter now than they were in the early year of 2021, and they have a lot more momentum going in. And again, they had that relationship with AEW. So if you need to pull Mercedes in to draw tickets, or I'd love to see Deonna Purrazzo over there, or Jamie Hayter, you have that as well. So I think that they run Budokan. I think you do an all-star Grand Queendom. Again, going back to the whole Hazuki thing, have her win it there in front of 4,000 or 5,000 people. Again, if we're going to finally crown Hazuki, which is like the number one thing I think everybody wants for next year, let's do it in the biggest way possible. Let's do it at the house that Masawa built, as I call it, my friend. Let's do it. Let's do it in the legendary Budokan Hall. So that is my number 2 pick, is that Stardom will run Budokan Hall, more than likely for All-Star Grand Queendom. And then on that show, make the announcement that they'll be running the Tokyo Dome sometime in 2026.
My bonus prediction is literally Stardom announced Tokyo Dome show for 2026. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think Nippon Budokan as a venue for All-Star Grand Queendom is a great idea because, again, we've talked about how hot Stardom is at the moment in 2024. We have seen what ticket sales are doing in Sumo Hall on the 29th of December, and that was with one match sort of announced. So if you can channel some of that energy, that excitement, that passion for the company, I think Nippon Budokan is not out of reach for Stardom at all. And I think it's the perfect venue. Again, I know there are costs to do with running it and things like that, but I think, and I'm going to actually disagree with what you've said. I don't think that Stardom need any AEW wrestlers to sell the tickets. There's no AEW wrestlers on Sumo Hall.
Yeah, I thought we were going to get Mercedes. I mean, interrupt you.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, they're going to need Mercedes or somebody from AEW, and it was Tam, Saya, and the Stardom name, and they pretty much almost sold out the building. So you do have a good point. I'm just saying, if they need a break, break glass in case of emergency, they do have that in their back pocket. But yeah, good point, brother. Good point.
So you book a fantastic, maybe Nippon Budokan is where you do Tam versus Mayu. Because obviously
Ah,
they have been teasing that, haven't they? So that would make most sense. And again, if you can continue this heat behind the promotion, if you can continue that in 2025, you are going to build and build and build towards a Tokyo Dome show in 2026, because Bushiroad have made it very clear that they want to run the Tokyo Dome. They want to be the first promotion since All Japan Women, the Big Ed show, which was a tremendous, tremendous show. They want to be the first all women's promotion to run a Tokyo Dome show in God knows how long. I don't think you will have a better opportunity to do that than in 2026. And of course, Bushiroad said they wanted to do that in 5 years. And I think the announcement was 2021 when they said they want to do that. So I think it makes perfect sense. Now, whether that will be Wrestle Kingdom week, or whether it depends entirely whether they're making Wrestle Dynasty a yearly thing. I know that obviously New Japan want to make Wrestle Kingdom week the big thing. And we've seen, the first sort of incarnation of that with New Year Dream, Wrestle Kingdom, Wrestle Dynasty, New Year Dash. Whether there is room to fit in a Tokyo Dome show for Stardom there, or whether they do it later on in the year, I don't know. But I do think that is an announcement. We'll get Tokyo Dome show for 2026. I'd be very, very surprised if not. And so that brings me to my number one pick, because that was my bonus prediction. So do you want to give your bonus prediction before we get into ones?
yeah. You want me to? I can run down a couple of them. Like a lot of them are funny. A lot of them are funny. I'm going to say that in Las Vegas, Rob cries when he meets Huki in death. I think that's going to be a funny one. That's going to be a funny one. Historic crossover next year is we see Mayu and Tanahashi teaming up, or maybe sometime in some sort of mixed tag match before Tanahashi rides into the sunset. We got Shinkiba coming up for the actual anniversary. First time they're running that venue in 4 years, because face it, folks, Stardom's kind of outrun that venue, or they've outgrown that venue, so they're running it. I say Yuzuki Ayakawa shows up for that show. I think that'd be a really, really good pull. Again, we're going back to Stardom's past. I'm not saying she wrestles, but like I think that like her showing up, like either to make an announcement or the fact that she's there, I think that'd be something really, really cool. So those are kind of just off the top of my head what my my alternate ones were. Again, I had one or two, Hazuki and Momo, which I knew you were going to have that as well. So that's why I didn't put them in there. So what are your honorable mentions, good sir?
So it was Stardom announced Tokyo Dome show. That was the only one I'd put, because I was like, that'll do. Matt definitely won't say that. And there you go, you said it. However, my number one, and this is potentially controversial because I've put it down and I'm like, Mayu Iwatani will not go to Marigold.
Oh, I'm really sure that that's not how. I'm really sure that if she goes anywhere, she's gonna become a movie star. I think that's no. Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. I don't think she's going to Marigold just because. I'm going to try to put this as positive as possible. I'm going to do this in baseball terms, Rob. I'm going to do this in baseball terms. Mayu Iwatani is the best pitcher on your World Series championship team. She's a free agent, right? This said team can now pay her to stay on the number one team in Major League Baseball. Mayu then does not go to the second or third or fourth biggest team for less money. Wouldn't make sense. We just saw, and again, I don't follow baseball that much ever since the strike of '94, but Juan Soto just signed a huge contract to go to the Mets, leaving the Yankees to go to the Mets, because I think it's like $765 million to play a game, which is just, it blows my mind. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, 700 and something. It's the biggest contract I think like in sports history. But anywho, I just don't see Mayu jumping ship, considering the fact. Now, maybe 6 months ago when Marigold was hot, you know what I mean? They were doing really, really well, and Stardom was kind of like, what's going on with the booking? Why are they breaking up Queen's Quest? And now all of a sudden Stardom is white hot. Mayu's getting her match at the Tokyo Dome. There may be a Stardom show at the Tokyo Dome. Her and Tam are planning this big match. I totally agree. I don't think Mayu's going anywhere. I think Mayu's staying in Stardom.
Now, there is something to be said, obviously, for loyalty. to Rossi. Obviously, Rossi hugely helpful and immeasurably so in Mayu's life, and she's been very clear about that. And it was in the Wrestling Observer that said she was very upset about the split. And actually, I believe they did an interview. Tokyo Sports did an interview with Taro Okada, and they said, "Who did you spend most time talking to post Marigold split?" And he said, "Mayu, easily Mayu Iwatani. I spent hours talking to Mayu," and there is every possibility that Mayu does turn around and says, "You know what? I have earned a lot of money in Stardom. I have done everything there is to do in Stardom. I'm going to go and spend my last couple of years in Marigold with Rossi." You know, that could very well happen. If that does happen, I don't think it happens in 2025. Because I think we've got things lined up with Mayu. I wouldn't be surprised if we've made a big thing, or Mayu made a big thing of how she wanted to beat Kazuchika Okada's IWGP defense record. I wouldn't be surprised if she does that this year. I think if she doesn't drop it to Izumi, I think she breaks that record, which I believe is 12 defenses. And she is on defense number 8. I think this is. I could be wrong. No, I think it's 9. I think this is defense number 9, isn't it, Izumi? Wouldn't surprise me if we beat that. I think that they are looking at running Mayu versus Tam. And I don't think Mayu leaves Stardom without giving Tam that victory. Obviously, she's retiring, wrestling retiring, from the 5-star Grand Prix, you know, and I know that a lot of people saw that as, right, well, she's getting to Marigold then. I don't think it's as easy as I'm going to go to Marigold, because you look at the way Mayu Iwatani is, and yes, she might well be the world's greatest actor. She is having the time of her life in that ring at the moment, with stars, doing what she's doing. Okay, she's just come off the back of an outstanding 5-star Grand Prix. Now, people say it's a dead cert that she's turning up in Marigold. Would it surprise me that in two years, 18 months, we see her in a Marigold ring doing a couple of matches? No, probably wouldn't surprise me. I don't think she turns up this year, though. As I've said, I think there's things that she still has left with Stardom. I think she's made it quite clear. And again, these interviews that she's given, there's a chance that they're PR. There's a chance that they are sort of face value things. They are sort of said, you know, to toe the company line, so to speak. But I think that she does feel a fealty to Stardom at the moment, certainly. You know, she's the icon of Stardom. She is the jewel in the crown of Stardom. So we'll see. But I am of the opinion at the moment that Mayu does not go to Marigold, at least in 2025.
Now, again, folks, don't get me wrong. Would I love to see fresh matchups for Mayu? Mayu versus Miko Ano, Natsumi Shozuki, what Vittoria Yuzuki's doing now, what Utami's doing now, with Chika Goto. I mean, with what Mei Sarah's doing now. I mean, or not Mei Sarah, excuse me, Mai Sakurai is doing now. Absolutely. Yeah, Kazuna Tanaka. I mean, those are some great matches that are lined up. But at the same time, again, look at what Stardom's doing. They've almost sold out as of this recording, what they're allowed for Sumo Hall. And again, we don't know if it's 4,000, 5,000, what they're doing for Sumo Hall. Hopefully we'll get some more information and let you all know in the next few weeks. But it's like, do you leave that in a comfortable situation where you're at to go to Marigold? Where if she's going to Marigold, she's mostly going to help Rossi out, which is great. Don't get me wrong. Can Rossi, and again, I don't know. Can Rossi be paying her what Bushiroad is willing to pay for her? Again, in pro wrestling, you only have a certain amount of time to make money. In pro sports at all. That's why Juan Sato probably signed that $700 million contract. But anywho, yeah. To play a game.
That's one sole game.
No. That's
I
was
just going to say.
That's like for 15 years, but what's his job is to play a game. He's not, you know what I mean? There's other more important jobs in this world. But anywho, but no, I know that this course has been going back and forth whether Mayu was leaving or not. We did, again, because her contract was a little bit different because of the movie, because most of these contracts were up, I think, in March, and we never really got any discourse where she was going, and it seems to kind of been dying down quite a bit, especially when she said about how happy she is in Stardom. And it's after that Momo match, she's like, this is the reason why I decided to stay in Stardom, is because matches like this. And again, we have built up this big Mayu versus Tam match, which again could be happening at All-Star Grand Queendom, especially if they run Budokan Hall. That's a great way to sell tickets. Even Momo Watanabe said, like, we've been wrestling each other for 10 years. We're going to be doing this for at least another 10 years. So I think it's the plan is, and you might be right, maybe in 26, 2027, that she will be doing as she winds down her career, but she's been saying she's been winding down her career for 7 years. Maybe she does go over to Marigold to help them, boost up ticket sales like that. I don't know. But yeah, as far as 2025, and it's a possibility, again, these are just kind of our left field predictions.
Yeah.
Is it a possibility where she just maybe wakes up one day and is just like, I'm not going to resign, or like, let me out of my contract because I want to go over there and I want to wrestle Utami, I want to wrestle Hummingbird, or I want to wrestle Natsumi Shozuki? It's a possibility because for her, that's an opportunity. Flying Penguin, because that's an opportunity. That's a great opportunity for her. So yeah, I agree with you. I think Mayu, at least until for the next 12, 14 months, is going to be staying in Stardom. So the fact that me and you just doubled down on that, buddy, means Tokyo Joshi Pro, the icon of Stardom, is coming to TJPW.
Imagine. And I think there is something to be said. Like we see all the time in soccer, you see people going to their hometown club at the end of their career, or towards the end of their career, to try and help out there. And it could well be the same for Mayu. And you've said about Bushi Road being able to pay her more than Marigold, and I'm sure that will still be the case when Mayu's contract is actually up. But it does come down to, she's made a lot of money in Stardom. Does money then play a factor? I've made more than enough money in Stardom. I'm going because of loyalty. And that's an interesting dichotomy. It's also really interesting to look back at the Marigold split and think, had Mayu's contract run out at the same time as everybody else's, would she have gone? Because as you mentioned, Stardom was a completely different beast than it is now. And I think she would have gone. I do think she would have gone. But there's an interview she did, and it was with Yuji Nagata. And she had Saya Reader next to her. And they said about her leaving, they brought it up. And Saya basically burst into tears and was like, you can't leave. She either said, I'll have to come with you, or, you're not allowed to go, or something anyway. And the fact that she means so much to this next generation of Stardom wrestlers coming through, I think that's something recently that Mayu is becoming acutely aware of. She is the icon of Stardom, absolutely. She is capable of putting on incredible matches. But I think, being in Stars and being that role model for the likes of Hanan, Saya Reader, even Momokogo, who I think is actually older than Mayu, but, has been wrestling considerably less time than Mayu. I think Mayu is that locker room leader, and I think it goes down more than just in ring and ticket sales. I think it's that, what's the word I'm looking for? That aura backstage, that feeling backstage of having that locker room leader. So that's where I am with that anyway. Matt, number one pick.
My number one, Momo Watanabe turns face, brings back Queen's Quest, and Momo's second in command in Queen's Quest, Saori Anou.
Whoa.
So I think you do Momo Watanabe, bringing back Queen's Quest with Saori Anou, because where's Saori Anou right now? She's third in command. In a faction that you can make an argument, I guess you can make an argument anything, that she might even be the best overall wrestler in that faction. But the pecking order is clearly Tam and Natsupoi. And again, rightfully so, right? At the same time, if Saori Anou leaves Cosmic Angels to go to the new Queen's Quest, Yuna Mizumori is right there to move up in the 3 slot. And Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kura aren't that far behind. But I think especially if you do like the Ice Queen thing that like she does in Oz Academy with the all black, I think she fits the Queen Quest mold perfectly, especially with Momo Watanabe. So again, I think that Queen's Quest is going to come back with Momo Watanabe leading the helm, with Saori Anou as the second in command. That is my 1 and 2 were Hazuki wins the white belt, to Momo. This was kind of, am I going to fit this in? It all depends on what Rob says. So this one was kind of like 5.5. And I'm like, I'll throw it in there because why the heck not? So that would be kind of my number one then good sir. Because why
It's
not?
a bold prediction.
Absolutely.
It's a bold prediction.
Why not? So there we go, folks. There we go. This was a fun one, my man. This was your baby. This was your suggestion. And this is a bonus episode because we don't give it's Christmas. It's Christmas time, folks, and we're just in the giving season.
Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, we would love to know your predictions for 2025. What surprises do you think Stardom have in store? There is every possibility that Mayu ends up in Marigold. There's every possibility that Hazuki doesn't win the white belt and that Fukigen Death becomes the first person to win the Cinderella 5-star and Goddess of Stardom Tag League all in the same year. And
by herself.
Rightly so. Absolutely by herself. She teams with herself as Fukigen Death and Goki. Imagine Color Me Tokyo Sports, the greatest name in the history of Goddess of Stardom Tag League. Incredible. But has to like change every time she tags herself in. Oh,
no one ever done that in the history of wrestling. Oh my goodness.
There you go. Book it, Taro. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed this little bit of a bonus episode. We've thoroughly enjoyed doing it for you. Maybe it's something we do on an annual basis around this time of year, just to look back on the year and see where we're going next. Thank you to everyone that subscribes to the podcast. If you haven't already, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you haven't already subscribed to the Patreon, you can for as little as $1 a month. We can get all of these episodes early and ad-free. Patreon.com/the Stardom Cast. You can, of course, find us on the website talkjoshi.com for all of our archived episodes, as well as news, show reports, Stardom and Marigold history and statistics. You can find it all over there. You can find us on social media, either at the Stardom Cast or Talk Joshi on Instagram, on Threads, and indeed on Blue Sky as well. You can talk to me on Twitter at RealRobGoodwin. Thank you for listening. Mr. Turner, where can they find you? Sign us off.
Folks, questions, comments, suggestions, anything you need from me, Matt Turner OF, on the Instagram, the Twitter, and the Blue Sky. If you want to shoot me an email, the email address is simply thestardomcast22@gmail.com. 22. Folks, we greatly appreciate your support. Can't do without you because, like I always say, just not my podcast. It's our podcast. Because when we're all together, everybody's different. Everybody's special.